Okay, we are going to see if I can do this first take. My name is Shay Stickle. I'm 21 years old. I'm at Iowa State University studying biology. Let me take a deep breath here. First take. I'm not going to restart it. So yeah, my name is Shay. I'm 21 and I've always wanted to start a podcast. And I don't know if this is going to be a podcast or a YouTube channel. I really don't know what this is going to be. But man, I'm so curious. And if you know me, you know how much I talk about these things. And I've always wanted to start a podcast and share my ideas, like I said. And I realized, man, I'm getting to that point where these concepts and all these different things that I'm wrestling with are not an everyday conversation you can have. So, yeah, this is going to be a podcast, I guess you could say. And I started this because I'm just beginning to really see how much there is to learn and how incredible this all is, this human experience. It's absolutely amazing. And there's so much to learn. And I think when you really begin to understand that, you are instantly curious, and then one question leads to another question, obviously, and then a deeper understanding leads to another question, and it's like this cycle that has taken me over. So yeah, I just love the idea of expressing my ideas, and maybe they resonate with people. I don't know how many people are going to watch this, but then I want to have people on this podcast or channel, whatever you call it, and have them share their ideas. Obviously, people that inspired me I will have as guests, and then I learn from the guests, and then that conversation somebody can listen to and learn as well. So I think that I noted that here. I have this list of notes. It's an amazing framework to go by in life, which is to help yourself while helping other people. That right there is a great formula to go about if you're questioning what you want to do with your life. And that's another reason I want to make this podcast, is because I'm not 100% sure on what I want to do with my life, with my career. So I think it's cool to document yourself. I think it'll be cool. I don't know if I'll still have this podcast in 10 years, 20 years, but it'll be cool to look back on my first episode. I do know that I am so passionate about so many different things that I don't see why I wouldn't have this channel that far into the future. What am I interested in? Health, biology, nutrition is what got me into all these things. Consciousness as a whole, so psychology and spirituality, and then obviously philosophy. And I love studying cosmology, the universe. I just came across this area of study called neuroquantology, which is the idea that consciousness is built on laws of quantum mechanics, and maybe that's why we don't understand it, because quantum mechanics is something that we just really don't understand. And yeah, personal development, obviously, and then, like I said, the complexity of the psyche and the human experience. It's unfathomable how deep this stuff goes. The first idea I want to touch on is this idea of starting something. Obviously, most of us have something that we want to do. Oh, I want to do X. I want to start that. But then it's so easy for the ego to create a reason instantly. I wish I could snap. It instantly creates a reason as to why you're not ready to do that yet. So it will instantly, so fast, find the exact reason to convince you not to step outside of this comfort zone and take action. So it's the ultimate paradox of ascending to higher levels of your being. And it's definitely a tough threshold to pass, but it's built on this idea that you only become ready by actually starting. So that's exactly why I'm starting this podcast. Obviously, and I've always said, oh, I would have a podcast in 5 years and 10 years once I'm smart enough or once I'm social enough. But these are all lies. These are all lies, and life is only right now. And the ego has a very tough time, to say the least, conceptualizing that idea that life is only right now. The ego runs on psychological time, whereas life runs on right now. And that's when you can transcend the ego and experience the present moment. And that's obviously something that you can't really describe when you experience it. Second idea is wrestling with different ideas. This is something that I've fell victim to in the past. Oh my gosh, has it gotten me? I've had this anxiety of not knowing, the fear of not knowing the ultimate truth to something. You know, like I always felt like there was more to something, like constantly questioning. Well, if you are going to question that, then it leads to this anxiety of, well, where do I have to go to understand this deeper? So just recently, in the past few months, I've realized that it's okay not to know to know it all. And I think it's the fear of not knowing that is probably one of the biggest fears, right? Philosophically speaking, the fear of not knowing is what drives us insane. So yeah, it's okay not to know, and then it's also okay to change your mind. And that's another reason I started this podcast, is because there are things that I will talk about that in a year, 6 months, a month, a week from now, I'll probably say, yeah, that guy was wrong. But that's the beauty of who we are as human beings, is that we're not perfect. And to have the courage to sit in the unknown and acknowledge that you don't know everything, I think there's so much power in that. And to think that you know everything is the greatest obstacle to actually understanding. So yeah, it's okay not to know, and it's okay to change your mind. Third thing is social media. You always hear this, social media is the greatest, or when you think of like a double-edged sword, social media is instantly what comes into mind, for me at least. Because people use it to enhance this false persona, to ultimately like make themselves feel more whole, which is only an illusion. And then everybody sees that, and then they instantly feel inferior, and therefore their only mechanism to reinstall order and feel whole again is for them to post their best self. So it's like this constant cycle that dictates people's lives, because social media is the go-to pathway of fulfillment nowadays, I guess you could say. So obviously it's scary, and you may have to wrestle with your psyche for a bit, but to come to this place where you feel like you can express your authentic self and be vulnerable, that's what allows you to truly connect with people and also be of service. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, a philosopher from the 19th century, amazing guy, definitely want to read into him more. He said, to be yourself in a world that's constantly making you, or trying to make you someone else, is the greatest accomplishment. So I think to be your authentic self, to identify your values and use those values to create a clear-cut vision of the future, and then day in, day out work towards that, that allows you to operate from the higher parts of the brain, your prefrontal cortex, as opposed to the amygdala. Dr. John D. Martini, that's that idea. And that's what allows you to truly achieve fulfillment. And obviously also be of service and connect with others, which are all the fundamental truths to our existence. And then lastly, is there anything else I wanted to talk about on those points? So, yeah, and by no means am I saying that if, building a following on social media through your looks or your body and all those things, they're not inherently bad, but it's more so if you're using that as this sort of blanket, or it's like a mask to prevent you from facing the deeper parts to your being. And until you face those deeper parts to your being, those things are going to dictate your life, you know. And Gandhi said, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. So if you can fix these things, obviously it's much easier said than done, but if you can address these, you know, like what Carl Jung would call the unconscious, if you can begin to become more conscious, then it creates this ripple effect. And also have the courage, like I said, to express your authentic ideas, and you never know who it will resonate with. And I'm sure I'll look back on this and be like, yeah, this guy was a goof. But you can't trust your future self. You gotta do these things now. Lastly, I wanted to wish my great friend, my brother Willem, a happy birthday. And he was the one that said this quote to me. I don't know if it was recent or if he said it in the past, but, and I'm sure people have heard this. I don't know who the original person who said this quote was, but you regret the things you don't do more than the things you do. And the ego hates this idea because the ego loves comfort. Like I said, it loves comfort. And to live in the ego completely, it's so complex, because the ego will say, don't do that because of this, don't do that because of this, and it'll keep you comfortable. But then a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the ego will be shaming you for not doing those things. So it's an incredible liberation when you can define what success means to you and live according to that and do it. So, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but one of my biggest fears is living my life with regret. People will inject all of their ideas into you, you know, your parents, your friends, your family, anybody close to you will tell you, don't do that because of this, you need to focus on this. Yeah, it's a tough idea. But if there's something you've been wanting to start, maybe use this as a sign to start it. You regret the things you don't do more than the things you do. And that will be the first episode. It feels weird being like a content creator. I'm more so an idea expresser. I don't think that's a word, but yeah. I don't know how often I'll post these, but man, I've been on fire. Like, I've just been learning so much, and it's amazing just how much there is to learn. So yeah, if you're interested in any of the things I mentioned, health, biology, nutrition, psychology, philosophy, spirituality, and consciousness, the human experience, and obviously that encapsulates everything, and pretty much every other discipline can tie into that, then stay tuned. Maybe I'll post another one tomorrow. And I don't even know if this camera is aligned, but yeah, thank you for staying to the end. I really appreciate it, and have a good day.